طيب بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. أما بعد. Today is the 13th of Dhul Qi'dah, 1444, which is the 2nd of May, 2023. And this is the gathering number 13 of this course. It is in the Fiqh, and it is transaction, and it's part 2. We left it, if you remember, last month. I don't know if you remember or not. The transactions, which is the first thing that we discussed, what are the ones which are prohibited? Because the ones which are legal are too many. So if we understand what is prohibited, then what is remaining is allowed. So the ones which are allowed are countless. You can't count them. So many. So the one that we have discussed last time was Bay'ul Gharar. Bay'ul Gharar, where the risk is not known. The risk is there. So the gharar, the more risk it is, the more prohibited is the bay'. Now we come into the second one, which is bay'u ma laysa indah, the one who sells something which is not in his possession. Hakim ibn Hizam, the transaction or the trading man, the one who embraced Islam at the time of the regaining of Mecca, he was asking the Prophet ﷺ a number of questions. We still benefit from them. One of them is a messenger of Allah. A man is asking me about buying something and I haven't got it. Shall I sell him? Shall I make a transaction to sell that person, yet I haven't got the item itself? That means I'm going to go and purchase it afterwards and then sell it to him. So he said, do not sell what you do not have. Now, this will be exempted later on from something called Bay'u Salam. I will discuss it when it comes to the chapter of Bay'u Salam, but not this time, inshallah, the last part. So the Bay'u ma laysa indah, you cannot buy, for example, sell something that you haven't got. You cannot sell fish while you're saying that I'm going to fish you first, I'm going to fish the fish, then I will give it to you. No, you cannot make the transaction with that person. But if he asks you, can you sell me fish? You're a fishman. He said, okay, inshallah. Once I bring it, you could buy it from me. But you cannot make a deal with him. I cannot take the money or make a deal or transaction, contract, because the fish is still in the sea. It could be, it will be later on, maybe something had happened to the sea, an earthquake, can't really fish. So you will not be able to deliver the goods on the time. And that would create problems. And Islam there is to eliminate all the things that would lead to problems. Then the third one, he said, Bay'ul mabi'i qabla qabdih. That is to sell something which you have bought already, but yet you did not receive it. So it is yet to be posted to you. So it is on the post. So for example, you bought something and it's in the post. You got it, it's yours, but you haven't received it. This is not just for food, for anything, because the hadith is mentioning the food. From Abdullah ibn Abbas, he said, the Prophet ﷺ said, he who had purchased food, then let him not to sell it until he gains it. By the way, do you put this up and down or by itself? Yeah, it's going up and down again. Right. I'm not going to bother about this because it was up and it's gone down now. طيب. Some people, they don't know what I'm talking about, but I know what I'm talking about. Okay. So the person, if he bought and purchased food, he must first have it and count it or weigh it, and then he sells it. Cannot just sell it and he haven't got it. Abdullah ibn Umar, he said, I have purchased oil from the market and I have given the price for it. So when it was, now it's mine, a man straight away, while the goods on the same spot in the market, came to me and he wanted to purchase it from me with a profit. So I'm going to make profit straight away. So I said, okay. So I wanted to go strike his hand to make the deal. A man from behind took hold of my arm, not to make the deal. So I looked back, and it was Zayd ibn Thabit. And the companion is holding the arm of another companion. Zayd ibn Thabit holding the arm of Abdullah ibn Umar, that to go ahead with these transactions. So he said to him, don't sell it until you take it to your own land, to your own garden, for example, to your own house. You can't just, while it is in the shop, while it's in the market, you sell it. You have to gain it first. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, or he forbade the person to sell an item where it is being sold until he gets it to where his possession, where his own, his own land. So it's not like I bought it in the shop and it's still in the shop and I will sell it straight away while it's in the shop. There's lots of reason why is this. Because you're going to create lots of hatred. The person who had sold it to you, if he sees a transaction while it is there and he knows he sold it for a bigger price, then he might envy you, bring hatred. Why didn't you buy it from me, akhi, the same price? You bought it from this guy, which I have sold it. They did not make the same profit, and so on and so forth. So you take it, grab it, and it's yours, then you start to sell it. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, basically, he had told us as well that he who had purchased food, not to sell it until hatta yaktala. Yaktalahu means either that weight, if it's volume, to size it, it's gone up now, and or to measure it, or to count it if it's being counted, or to count it if it's to be counted. And this is not just, as I said, for the food, it's for all other items. Let me just take this. Now, when we say he takes it, this is either that this thing, you could be transfer it, or it could be untransferable. Untransferable, example, the land. You're selling a land. Or you're selling a house. You can't transfer it. The land still stay the same, and stay will be there. So the way to grab it and be able to sell it is that the person who is the owner of that land, who sold it to you, is to leave it. So he left the house, left the land. He had left it and given you the keys. Or he had left the land and he's not going to go back. Then you're able to sell it. The one which is able to transfer it is that you take it and you hold it in your possession. So you take it to your own possession. And if it is needed to be counted or weighed, then you do so. Imagine that you bought something and you thought it is actually such and such number, and you did not count it, and you sold it with that number when it wasn't. And the other person, he would say to you, you sold me something which is supposed to be 6 in the pack, but it wasn't. It's 5 in the pack. No, akhi, I sold you 6 because I purchased it from that guy 6. Well, hang on a second. Did you count it when you purchased it? Did not count it. So Islam always eliminates anything that would result into a dispute. So you have to count it, or you have to weigh it and take it to your possession, and then you're able to sell it. From this, we could really give an answer for all these transactions that is happening these days, electronically speaking, and everything. Right. Why is it that we said that the person should always grab the item and always have the item before he sells it? Because the seller, he might not be able to transfer the goods in the right time, and that will lead to dispute. Or it could be that the person who is the seller, he might say, I'm calling off the transaction because he saw you sold the item with a bigger profit. You understand me? because you did not take it to your possession, it's still there. You say, well, hang on a second, he still hasn't really left my shop. I don't want to go ahead. Because he saw you made what? A deal with a bigger profit than the profit he made onto you. Are you following me first, people, or you're not? Or you just... Transaction is very, very heavy stuff, by the way. It's not really easy stuff. So to be really paying attention, maybe you take your notes as well in a book. So it has to be. Otherwise, as I said, the first seller, he might call off the whole transaction because he had seen you that you have sold it with a bigger price. So take it, grab it to your own possession, then sell it. Then we come now, bay' ala bay'i akhi. One of the prohibited transactions as well, to make a transaction over the transaction of your brother. And that is, a person is selling an item to another person, you come in the middle. Still, the transaction hasn't been finalized. You say to the seller, why do you want to sell it with this price? I will buy it from you with a bigger price. Or you could say to the one who's buying, why do you want to purchase it from him? I could sell it for you cheaper. Do you understand me? Either, so you are a person who wants to sell your item, or you want to purchase it. You come to the seller and you say to him, why do you sell it for that cheap price? I will buy it from you more expensive. So you make it over a transaction over your brother. Or you go to the buyer and you say to him, I could give it to you cheaper than that guy. And that would lead as well to dispute. Again, Islam would eliminate such a thing. And this is not allowed, whether it's while the transaction is not to be finalized, or it's being finalized, but still it's a short time, straight away. But after a while, it's no problem. So you've bought this item, the following day, I came to you, brother, that's different. After that, I got this item is cheaper. You made the finalization and everything. Not within the finalized, after that. I mean, I've got the item cheaper than that. You have the right, okay, to go back, but maybe he would say to you, I'm not going to sell it. I'm not going to return it. I'm not going to return the item. Because al-bayyani bil-khayar ma lam yaftariqa. Islam, if there is no conditions, you have a choice as long as you haven't departed from each other. But once you depart, I paid you the money and I left, and you left, and after that, it's up to us if we want to return or not. Whether the seller, he wants his item back because he found somebody who can, buy it from him with it more expensive, or the one who had bought, which is the item, he wanted to return it back because he found it cheaper somewhere else. So it's up to, the both parties. Unless he said to the person, he said to him, you have the option to return it back in such and such time, as we're going to see it inshallah. Why is it not allowed to make a transaction over your brother while the transaction is not being finalized? Because we say that the one who buys, he might have hiqd, malice in his heart onto the seller, because that seller, he sold it to him more expensive than this person who came to him and said to him, I will sell it for you cheaper. Or the buyer, he will regret and he would say, how dare I'm going to buy something from such and such a person and with that price. Or the seller, he would say, oh, I regret selling it to him. I could have sold it to this person who came to me and he would buy it from me more expensive. This as well might lead that the person who had purchased this and somebody else came to him and said it to you much cheaper, that he might do something wrong to the item that he bought in order to return it back. And he would say, I found it, default, or there's a fault in it. And there's no fault. But he had made the fault into it in order to what? To return it, in order to what? To buy it from that person who told him, I'm going to sell it to you cheaper before, as I said, the transaction has been finalized. Also, you'll find as well, the first seller, he might as well, he will hate the second seller. Why did you go to the one who bought it from me and you told him that you're going to sell it to him cheaper? All of it's going to lead to malice and dispute and quarrel. Sometimes this will lead even to the seller to lie. If this person came to the buyer and he said to him, I could sell it to you cheaper, and this person, he tells him to the buyer, to the seller, I want to return it back, because you want to buy it cheaper from this second seller. This first seller, he might lie. He would say, no, brother, the item I'm selling you is better quality, which is not. It's the same, but he wants to convince that person that whatever you bought is better. But it's actually the same items. He would lie. So look at this: lying, hatred, all of those are the negative points resulting from such a transaction. طيب. Is it permissible to do such a thing to the disbeliever, the kafir? The correct opinion, no. Or is it a disbeliever or a believer? Now, if the transactions had taken place, like this person came in the middle and he said, I will sell it to you cheaper. Then this person returned the item to the buyer and he bought it from this person, the second seller, cheaper. The transaction is authentic and valid, but it's what? Sinful. You understand me? Transaction is valid, but it's sinful. The fifth prohibited transaction is bay'ul ina. Ina from the word aun or yu'in, to help. So this is to help the person who's in need of money. Okay? How to get money? By making a transaction. This is called bay'ul ina. And the idea behind it is actually, it's a loan, but it's actually portrayed into a transaction. It's a loan, and this loan has an extra, which is riba. So bay'ul ina is riba. What is the way of doing it? This person who's in need of money, he knows if he goes to somebody to ask for money, they were not going to lend him, because the Muslims, they were not going to say to him, I'll give you £500, you return it after 1 year, 550, because that is clear riba. Nobody Muslim would do that. So he knows, this Muslim who is in need of money, that the Muslim brothers will not give him such money like that. They will not do that. It's either because they know it's haram, and also they will not give it to him, because they know that if I'm going to give you 500, what is the profit for me? And I can't make a profit like this. It's going to be what? Haram, if it's riba. So he might go to the non-Muslim banks or Islamic banks which are doing with riba, which he will go into riba, or he will go to this something called bay'ul ina. So he will go to a seller and he wants to buy something which he is not in need of that thing, he's in need of money. So he will say, give me that laptop. That laptop costs £1,000. Okay, it's £1,000. What I wanted in installment. Okay, installment, he will calculate how many years he want to pay it back. He would say in 1 year. So he will calculate, he will say to him, okay, I will sell it for you for 1,300 or 1,500, let's just say for the calculator, 1,500. Now this guy hasn't gotten the money. So he said, okay, I accept for 1,500. Right. So he will give now to him 1,500, but he hasn't paid anything. Then he will say to him, the buyer, do you want to buy this laptop from me? So the laptop is being now sold by the first seller to him by installments, 1,500. This guy hasn't got money, he's got nothing. Okay, accept. So it became his now. Do you want to sell it, buy it from me? So the buyer becomes a seller now. So the first seller, he would say to him, yeah, how much? How much do you want it for? The seller now, he would start to get it from him even cheaper than the wholesale he gets it from the shop, from the factory. Okay, I'll get it from you for £800. The buyer would say, of course, Jazakallah khair, £800. So now the seller will give £800 to the buyer, and he's returning to return it back how much after 1 year? 1,500. Believe me, if he came in the first time and he said to him, or he came to a non-Muslim or a bank, give me £800, I will return it back after 1 year. I don't think he will pay that much of riba, another £700. He will get even better riba, less money to be paid. But now this is to make it halal. How can you make it halal? This is what we call it. This is my ear, and this is my ear. Either you go from this side or this side. This is my ear. This is haram, or this is haram. This haram actually was more haram because you're manipulating the Sharia. You're trying to fool. Who are you trying to fool? The Almighty Azza wa Jal. So this guy, if he came to the seller from the beginning and he said to him, lend me £800 and I will return it to you 1,500, he would have just said, come on, guy, this is haram, riba. Okay, we will make it halal now. What do you want? Okay, the laptop. Okay, the laptop costs £1,000 cash, 1,500 in 1 year. Okay, I'll take it for 1 year. Okay, you want to buy it from me? Yes, £800. So the seller now, he will give to the buyer £800 and he's already has to pay it back, that buyer, 1,500 after 1 year. Do you understand, everybody? Or are you looking at me like this? You don't understand? You understand? Who's not really? I've got 2 people, 3 people, only 3 people. Okay? 3 people don't understand. I return again. I'm a person who's in need of money. I want to get the money regardless. I can't go to the banks which are haram. I'm going to go to the Muslims. If I go to a Muslim to say to him, give me £1,000 cash, I will return it to you after 1 year. If he said to me, return it back 1,500, you're going to say to him what? Haram, riba. This is riba, clear riba. So how are we going to make it halal? You go to that seller who's selling goods in his shop. Let's say he's selling a laptop. Okay, laptop, cash, 1,000. But in installment, depends on how long you're going to take it. Okay, I want to take it with installment. You have to pay attention. Leave writing. You can't write while you're talking. You have to pay attention because that's what you don't understand. So I say, okay, I will buy it with installment because I don't have money. I want money. I want money. I don't have money. Okay, I'll buy it for you installments. Do you understand that? Okay, let's make it maybe more realistic. Okay, the first installments is £10. So this guy, the buyer, he pays £10 in installment from his laptop, which he purchases with how much? 1,500 in a what? In 1 year. First installment is £10. Okay, it's his now. So he takes the laptop, we leave the laptop in the same shop. It doesn't matter whether he just moves it a bit here or. Come on, seller. He's the same one who sold it. Do you want to buy this laptop from me? Do you understand what I'm saying? Can you scratch your brains, please? I am the buyer who's bought this laptop. I'm sending it back to the same seller. I want cash. He says to me, yes. How much do you want from it? Anything that you like. So the seller now is going to give him a price which is less than the price of what? The laptop when he gets it from the what? From the factory, from the company, whatever it is. So he gets it, let's say £900, a wholesale. He will say to him, £800. I am the buyer. I need money, regardless. Okay, accept. I pay £10 to get the laptop for me. Now the seller is going to give me what? £800. So I take the £800 and the laptop stays in the shop because I sold it now. I got it for £10 and then I bought it for £800 and I sold it for £800. So £800 I got cash, but how much I need to return to the seller? I had to return to him after I take the 800, 1,500. I'm going to take the 800, do whatever you like, but I'm going to give him 1,000. This is what I bought it for, 1,500 in installments. So the following month, maybe £200, the following month, £300, the following month. In 1 year, I have to get him what? 1,500. Most of the people that can't, they end up in prison. So they write checks, blank checks, and check, keep your check. Basically, maybe the first 3 months, and after that, what? You can't pay. And then he what? He will be in prison. Half of the country in our country is in prison. because of these such deals. Who is now had been harmed? Number one, the buyer. He's been harmed, he's been put because he can't, okay, he can't really pay and going to end up in prison. Number two, the family of the buyer, because they're not going to have nobody to support them. The seller had been harmed because his been transaction is haram. Also, the whole economy. Why? Because if this is going to be the deal, the company who supplies the laptop is going to shut down. Because these guys are getting the laptop cheaper than what they get it from the what? The factory. The factory is selling it for 900. For them, maybe £800 is the cost price. So these guys are getting it called cost price. We call it in Arabic there, as-si'ru al-mahruq, the burnt price. This price is completely burnt. You know, it's really that even the manufacturer cannot supply you with that same price. Because people are in need of money. They're willing to sell this item brand new for any price. Have you got it now? Have you got it now? Yeah. Basically, trying to get the money in any way or any form, regardless of what, indulging in haram or not. That's what it is. Right. It is riba. Bay'ul is riba. Now, let's say that this person took the laptop after he paid the first installment, which is £10, and he's going to pay it back in 1 year. He's going to pay back, for example, every day £10, let's say. Or the following day £20, something like this. He took the laptop and he took it to the other shop. Did not sell it to the same seller. Sold it to another seller. Are you following me? Okay. This is called tawarruq. Look at the words, different from ina to tawarruq. Selling it to the same seller is ina. Haram, clear. Now going to tawarruq. Tawarruq means waraq. Waraq means paper. I'm trying to liquidize some money for myself. I want to have money. So I got this laptop. I paid £10 the first installment. In 1 year, I had to pay 1,500. I took it with me, and then go to the following shop, next shop, the following day. It's brand new in the box. And the shop is a computer shop. I want to sell it. How much? Of course, you're going to take it less than the price he gets it from where? From the factory. True or not? If he gets it from the factory, it would be better. It would be factory. This one not from the factory. Yes, a sealed box, but still. He's going to take advantage. Okay, I will buy it from you for £800 because he knows he gets it for £900 from the factory, less than that. And the one who sells it, which is the one who bought it in the beginning, he's in need of money. Yes! Why don't you give me 700, 600? He wants money. It's called tawarruq. Now, some of the scholars made it halal. Some of the scholars made it haram. The scholars who said it's haram are more appropriate or more correct. Why? Because still this person's intention is to gain the money regardless of the way it is. And this person who is the one who is buying it, if he is a computer shop, he will know that this item costs more than that in the factory. And he knows that this person, he is doing haram. And I'm not allowed to help him to do what? Haram. I'm not. As I said, it will ruin the companies. It will ruin the economy. And that's why Islam forbade it. Finally, which is controversial, to sell something as an installments with a higher price. Coming back to the laptop. The laptop, this person, he wants to buy it for £1,000 cash. He hasn't got the money. He wants to buy it for 1,500. He doesn't want to sell it. He wants the item. He wants to buy what? The laptop. But he hasn't got £1,000 cash. He could pay it within 1 year. He's in need of a laptop. This is different story now. It's called selling something in installments with an extra price. Do you understand that? So this person says to him that it's £1,000 cash, 1,500 in 1 year. He's not allowed to say the more time you're going to take, the more money. It will become riba. It's just installments. So it's going to be now 1,500 in 1 year. If he's been delayed more than 1 year, then maybe that person had taken some sort of extra precaution, something to guarantee his money, whether it is a guarantor, he will be there to be paying the money, but he will not increase the money according to the time. Otherwise, it becomes like a bank. It's riba, clear riba. So it will be set in one of the prices. Either £1,000 cash or 1,500 in 1 year or 2 years, whatever the time that they agreed upon. Some of the scholars, they said halal, as long as they had set a single price, whether it's 1,000 or 1,500 in 1 year, 1,700 in 2 years, but they don't really, it's not increasing by the time. They have to make a set value here. Some of the scholars says halal, and that's Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen. But the others, which are more right, they said it's haram. The reason behind this, even some of them, they said it is batil. Imam Ibn Hazm says it is not even to be valid. Batil, Ibn Hazm. But some of the scholars, like Shaykh Al-Albani and others, they said it is haram. It is valid, but it's haram. Why it's haram? Because the hadith of the Prophet, this hadith is clear cut. He who regards it as authentic can go nowhere except to say that it's haram. من باع بيعتين في بيعة فله أوكسهما أو ربا. He who had made 2 deals in one transactions, then either he will take the lower price or the riba, which is the higher price. 2 deals in one transaction. £1,000 cash, 1 deal. Second deal, 1,500 in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, whatever. So either you take it with the less price, which is the halal, or the higher price, which is what? Haram. فَلَهُ أَوْكَسُهُمَا. Well, the hadith is clear. Shaykh Al-Albani puts it in Silsila Sahih of his, volume number 5, and he puts about 30 pages explanation of this hadith. Now, in that hadith, which is Hadith Abi Hurairah, from the Prophet ﷺ, there is a narrator. You know, the narrations come from to Abu Hurairah. One of them from the narrator from Abu Hurairah is called Simak ibn Harb, from the Tabi'een, followers. And he's the one who rated that hadith from Abu Hurairah. And he was asked, Simak, what is bay'atayni fi bay'ah? What is to have 2 deals in 1 deal, in one transaction? What is to have 2 deals in one transaction? What does that mean? He said, أن يبيع الشيء بكذا وكذا حاضرا وبكذا وكذا نسيئة. Meaning to sell such something with a certain price cash straight away, or with an extra price after a time, which is called installment. And we say here, راوي الحديث أعلم بمرويه من غيره. The one who narrates the hadith has more knowledge than others regarding the hadith that he had narrated. Do you understand that principle? That's in general. The one who narrates the hadith is more knowledgeable. He's got more priority to take his understanding regarding the understanding of that. That's a general principle. راوي الحديث أعلم بمرويه من غيره. He knows more than the others. That's why they asked him, what does it mean? Because you listened to Abu Hurairah, you must have asked Abu Hurairah, what is this? So he told him, what is the meaning of that? This is, as I said, supported by Simak ibn Harb himself, who had seen 80 Sahabi. Simak ibn Harb, he witnessed how many? 80 companions. And his tafsir has the priority. That means his interpretation of the hadith has got the priority. We have Ibn Sirin, Tawus, Sufyan al-Thawri, Lawza'i, number of them. And this hadith is narrated, as I said, Silsila Sahih, volume number 5, hadith number 2326 in the Silsila Sahih. 2326. Fine. What is not permissible to be sold? So we talked about transactions, prohibited transactions. Now what is the item not allowed to be sold? Al-Khamr, the wine, anything to do with the alcohol. So you can't sell it, you cannot buy it. And the Khamr is actually, there is 10 things cursed with it. I cannot for example, sell grapes to a factory if you're going to turn it into wine. So لعن الله بائعة ومشترية وحاملها والمحمولة إليه. That is, the person who carries it was being carried to, the person who buys it was being sold to, the person who get the grapes to extract it was being extracted to. All of those are to be cursed just for the sake of what? Drinking it. Haram. Second one, carrion dead animals. Animals which has been dead, they're not having been slaughtered according to the Sharia. Whether it's from the cattle, sheep, or the cows, or the camels, or the horses, which can be eaten. If you've been dead, rotten, hasn't been slaughtered Islamically, it's called carrion, dead animals. Or it is the pigs. You can't slaughter the pigs. You say, halal pig. A pig is a pig. Okay? Or the statues. All of those are to be haram to be sold because they are impure in themselves. Haramun fi dhati. They are impure in themselves. I can't sell or buy. So I've got a cat. I cannot buy dead meat for my cat. Do you understand that? I cannot buy dead meat. So if it is chicken, turkey, ducks, all of those are being gassed. They're dead. I cannot buy that. I could buy what? Fish for the cat. Because there's no such thing, fish slaughtered according to Sharia. You know, fish is just to take it out and dies it and halal. But if it is rotten fish, I can't buy it. What's rotten fish? A fish which has been dead for a long time. You could see it floating on the sea. Dead for a long time. They stink. Can't buy it. I could get it for free, no problem. I mean, I'm not going to go and ask the cat. I'm going to say to me, only halal bring me. No, I could bring it anything food. But I can't buy it. So if somebody gave me meat of rats and mice mixed up together for free, I'll take it for my cat. So the animals, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they've asked the Messenger of Allah, the fat from the dead animals. We use it, Messenger of Allah, as a tar, you know, the fat, to maintain our boats, because we'll block the holes. You know, the fat, what do? They boil it, and they make it like, it's like something like an adhesive, something to stick the boats with it. So it's a tar, it's like a tar. And they will make the boat waterproof. So he said, Messenger of Allah, we use that for this. And we take the skin as well and make it patches, the skin of the dead animals of this. So is it halal for us to buy it? He said, no, it is haram. It's not haram to use, haram to what? Buy or sell. To purchase it. So if you find a dead animal there and you're taking it, no problem. Do whatever you like with it. But I can't buy or sell. It is haram. I'm using these dead animals to buy it and sell it. We're not allowed to do that. Prophet ﷺ, he said, may Allah fight the Jews. That's the hadith says. Why? So Allah Azza wa Jal, when He made the fat to be haram upon them, they melted it down, then they sold it, then they consumed whatever they made as a profit from that. The Jews at the time of Musa alayhi salam and afterwards, Allah spoke about them in the Quran. And unfortunately, the Muslims are doing the same thing. When Allah Azza wa Jal wanted to punish them because of killing the prophets and all of that, He made for them the fat to be haram. So imagine they slaughter the sheep, they can't eat the fat. And that's an agonizing thing to do, to take the fat from the meat and all of this, to make it fat-free. Oof. So Allah Azza wa Jal, He had made the fat haram upon the Jews as a test and as a punishment. So now, imagine that lots of thousands of Jews slaughtering the animals and had to get rid of the fat. So they've got lots of fat now. So they said, oh, come on, fat. Okay, it's haram upon us, but we will change it to something else. So they collected it, put it in big containers, heated underneath it, melted down to do oil. So it's not fat anymore, it's oil. They took the oil, they did not even eat the oil. Took it to the market, and then they sold it, and whatever they made profit, they've used it. So Allah Azza wa Jal had cursed them because of this. قاتل الله اليهود لما حرم عليهم الشحم جملوه ثم باعوه ثم أكلوا بثمنه وإن الله إذا حرم شيء حرم ثمنه. And if Allah made something haram, then He makes the price that you get out of it is haram also. The profit that you make out of it is haram also. Can't buy and can't sell. Also, the Prophet Allah Azza wa Jal tells us in Surah Al-A'raf that فَبِظُلْمٍ مِّنَ الَّذِينَ هَادُوا حَرَّمْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ طَيِّبَاتٍ أُحِلَّتْ لَهُمْ وَبِصَدِّهِمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ كَثِيرًا. To the ayat. This is in Surah Al-Nisa. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, that is the people of Ahl al-Qaryah, the people of the Qaryah of Ilat, which is opposite to Aqaba in Jordan. That area, exactly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as a punishment for them, He forbade for them to hunt and fish the whales. Hitan. They're not allowed to fish, to do it onto a Saturday. So you're on the Saturday Sabt, it's not allowed for the Jews to hunt the whales as a punishment. Now the whales as an animal, he's got a clock inside him. He knows, he doesn't know, for example, this is Saturday, Sunday, Monday, but he knows in a time, certain time, after this days, in that particular time, nobody is harming them. They've got a clock inside them. It's like your cat, when you train your cat, it will come to you at exactly the time that to take the food. The animals have got a clock inside them. So they realize that in that particular day, there's nobody is harming them. So Allah already spoke about this. قَالْ إِذْ تَأْتِيهِمْ حِتَانُهُمْ يَوْمَ سَبْتِهِمْ شُرَّعًا. On the Sabbath, those animals, which is the fish and the whales, they used to come to their beaches with their tails waving. It's like, we are here, but you can't get us. You are here, but you can't get us. Shurra. Shurra means like a ship, it's called a sailing ship. Imagine the whale with a sailing tail. وَيَوْمَ لَا يَسْبِتُونَ لَا تَأْتِيهِمْ. As soon as the Saturday finished, it doesn't come. They disappear. So the Jews, they couldn't take it. Sabt, they're all plenty. But after the Sabt, they disappear. They can't hunt. They're going to manipulate now. So what they did, on Jumu'ah Friday, they put their nets. So they're not doing anything on Saturday. So on the Jumu'ah, they put the nets. It's like a trap. So the fish comes, and then on the Saturday, they show themselves. When they want to go back, they pull the nets up. They're going to go back before sunset of Sabt, because they've got a clock inside them. They have to leave before the sunset of the Sabt. They can't. They've been trapped. The Jews, they don't touch them still. Following day after sunrise on Sunday, they start hunting them one after the other. And they think by this, they're doing halal. They're not doing halal, they're doing more haram. They are doing the haram itself and manipulation of the Sharia. And said, Muslim doing the same thing with Bay' al-Ina. The same thing, the Bay' al-Ina, the same thing. Bay' al-Ina, remember? Going to the shop, and I want to buy a laptop. I don't want to buy a laptop. I want money. Manipulating. I could have just said to him, give me 800 pounds and I will give it to you back. 800, no, you give it to me 1,500. Haram, akhi. Okay, what do you want? I'll give it, make it halal for you. Make the laptop in the middle. But it's actually not the laptop he wants the money. He's manipulating the Sharia. Same thing is happening here with the Jews. The Jews, the Muslim. So the Prophet ﷺ, he had said, لا ترتكبوا ما ارتكبت اليهود فتستحلوا محارم الله بأدنى الحيل. Do not do what the Jews have done. Then you will make what Allah made haram to be halal with the cheapest of manipulation. Cheapest. How? Can you manipulate with Allah Azza wa Jalla? Allah knows you. Third one. I will stop here because you've got 40 minutes. Yes. So stop here inshallah for 10 minutes break. Yeah? No, the Maghrib is 15 past. It's half an hour. So just give 10 minutes and we'll continue inshallah. Even in the Maghrib, we'll continue. If you want to do that, I don't mind. If you want to go ahead, continue, I don't mind. But maybe the head of yours is too much now. Too much information. We'll relax inshallah. Yeah, it's too much. The one who's writing and the one who wants to understand is too much. The one who's just sitting down here, no problem, let's go. But the one who wants to really to understand this is really too much. I know that. Give you a headache. Sorry about that. Ikhwan, just start. We can start because we are. I'm really sorry. I'm going to cut your break shorter. Testing. طيب, we're going to start inshallah. Bismillah, alhamdulillah. والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. We are still going through what is not allowed to be sold. Coming now to the third one, after we've mentioned the wine, anything to do with alcohol. And number two, the dead animals, and including the pigs and the statues. Number three, the dogs. We're not allowed to sell or buy dogs. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, he who had taken a dog other than the dog of hunting or shepherding, then there will be a deduction from his reward every day. Qiratan, 2 qirat, and each qirat is equivalent to the mountains of Uhud. Maybe one day it will be having you bankrupt from the rewards, just for one day. So the dogs which are allowed to have, those are the ones that are allowed to be sold. So what are the dogs which are allowed to have them, to be owned? Number one, the hunting dog. You could sell and buy hunting dogs because you're selling, not the dog is selling, the teaching of that dog. Number two, the dog of the sheep, which is shepherd, also to be trained. Number three, the dog of guarding dogs as well. Number four, the dog of the land, like for example, he's into the crops, dog of the crops, you call it. Number five, any dog for a particular purpose, like leading the blind, like the police dogs. All of those are also dogs that are allowed to maintain or to have or to be owned, and you're allowed to buy and sell. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, it is forbidden to sell and buy the dogs except for the dog of the hunt. Here, the dog of the hunt or any dog which got a purpose. Number four, the cats. The cats are not allowed to be sold or to be bought. If you want to have a cat, you have to be free cat. And we don't include, and by the way, this is controversial, but Prophet ﷺ, the hadith which is clear, hadith which is in Sahih Imam Muslim on the authority of Abu Zubayr, he said, I've asked Jabir radiallahu anhu about the purchase of the dog and the cat. He said, the Prophet of Allah told us off from that. And also, Prophet ﷺ, he prohibited the purchase of the dog and the cat. So some of the madhahib, actually the 4 madhahib, they makes it allowed. But it is against the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You might say, well, what about the cat that is hunting mouse? Cat hunting mouse, you don't teach it. The cat is being born to hunt mouses. There's no such thing. I've trained my cat to hunt the mouse. It's an instinct built into it. Regardless how pampered your cat is, it will hunt mouse. Whether it eats it if it's hungry, whether it kills it, it's just, Allah made it like this. Number 5, everything which is prohibited to be eaten, then it's prohibited as well to consume the profit out of it, to buy or sell. But if it's been sold for other than the purpose of it being prohibited to, there's no problem. I'll give you an example. The donkeys, the mules, the lions are not allowed to be eaten. So if you sold them for meat, it's haram. But if you sold them in order for hunting, mounting, putting in the zoo and bringing other people to look at them, it's halal. Do you understand that? So you bought them not for the thing which is Allah made them haram for. That's no problem. So you bought animals like the donkeys, by the way, the domestic donkeys. As for the zebra, it's halal to be eaten. Is it okay? After that, we go to images, pictures. Anything that's got contains ruh, human being, animals. It's allowed to sell paints of other than those cars, houses, or something which got no head from the human being, from the neck downwards, as long as there's no extravagance. If there's extravagance, haram to buy or sell. I remember one of the paints called a long time ago. I'm talking about 1990, or even before that, 1985. There was a paint called Kiss. There's Kiss 1 and Kiss 2. And I think if I gave to my little kid the brush and start painting, he will be making better paint than that image. But yet it was sold for £2 million. Huh? No, I don't know what he did. But even the ones who are experts in paint, he said, why is it being sold for 2 million? They themselves, the expertise, they can't figure out why it's being, it's like stupidness. So I bought something for, and I remember there was a program of a person who's fooling these people by making an elephant to paint. Wallahi, an elephant. He showed it to us. Given the brush with his trunk, he starts painting, and then he takes it to sell it in one of these exhibitions, and they're being sold for thousands. What? And they said, look inside, deep. You can see deep what? You can see the idiotness. You're an idiot person. That's what you see. Look, there's something there. Can you imagine? There's something behind. And they sell it for thousands of pounds. And then later on they said, well, by the way, it's the elephant who painted that. Allahumma salli, the elephant who painted that. Also to sell fruits which hasn't been ripened. So you go to a tree and you sell him, for example, avocados, or for example, cherries, or for example, peaches, and yet hasn't been ripened. You don't know what's going to happen. How can you sell him something that later on maybe Allah didn't will for it to go and be fruits? It just didn't grow up. Something had happened to it. It'd been ruined before it's been ready for consumption. So it's not allowed. Am I allowed to dress up myself into furs made of animals like, the lions, tigers, bears, and all of that? Okay, well, we say, if you remember in our chapter of purification, any skin of an animal, regardless whether dead animal, not dead animal, if it's been tanned, it's halal to be used. But the element could be haram in it if it is extravagance. If you're going to buy something like a tiger skin costing you £3,000, what is this? It's a lot of money. Or a fur made of whatever bird it is. And by the way, hunting animals for the sake of these things, we said, you remember, haram. I can't hunt a tiger for the sake of the skin. But a tiger who is dead, I could use the skin and tan it. After tanning it becomes halal. If it's halal, I could sell it. Some of the scholars even made it haram because you are maybe tend to be arrogant. We put them on. Some of them made it haram because as well you are imitating the disbelievers. Now we're coming to al-riba. Al-riba means interest. What is the hikmah behind it, making it haram? Because you take in extra without any return. I'm just giving you the money, and after 1 year, returning it extra. Where is the effort that I have done to gain that extra? Nothing. It's just waiting on you. Also, it will stop the people from going to work. I'm just going to give money out, and after a while, the money comes to me with extra. I don't have to work, do I? So it will stop earnings, people to earn. And it will also stop kindness. Nobody will give money to another person. Qard hasana. No qard hasana. All of it with riba. The riba is haram. Quran, Sunnah, and Ijma'. And if any person made riba to be halal, then he's a kafir. Yes, there is a Muslim can take riba, which is haram. Muslims are lending money with riba, and he knows it's haram, but he himself, to make it halal, as in, even if he does not deal with riba. But if he said riba is halal, he's what? He's a disbeliever. And Allah declared war on only one person, the one who takes riba. فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Also Allah He said in Surah Al-Baqarah 275, verse 275, الذين يأكلون الربا, the one who consume riba, لا يقومون إلا كما يقوم الذي تخبطه الشيطان من المس. They don't get up except like the one is being possessed by the shaitan. As-Sarkhasi, he said regarding the scholar interpretation of this verse, that the murabi, the one who deals with riba, he's got 5 punishments. Number 1 in this ayah, at-takhabbut. He's like, in a way that he's in chaos. Takhabbut is like chaos. Second one, al-mahqa. All his barakah, all his money will be wiped off. So ruined, destroyed. Thirdly, what will be the barakah will be gone. Harb, war. Allah declared war on him. Fourthly, al-kufr, to go into disbelief. Because Allah says, وَمَنْ عَادَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ. The fifth is to abide in the fire. Allah says, يَمْحَقُ اللَّهُ الرِّبَا وَيُرْبِي الصَّدَقَاتِ وَاللَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ كُلَّ كَفَّارٍ أَثِيمٍ. All these ayahs included the 5 punishments that the Imam al-Sarkhasi had said. Prophet ﷺ, he said, avoid the 7 destroyers. One of them, الربا, أكل الربا, consuming the riba. Prophet ﷺ, he said, Allah had cursed the one who takes the riba and accepts to give the riba, and the one who is being deputized for the transaction of riba, and the ones who had written the riba, the cleric, and the person who is witnessed the riba, all of them the same. So you're working in a bank with this riba, regardless of what type of work you work there, you are including the curse. Prophet of Allah said, riba is 73 plus in terms of type-wise. The less sinful of them, so imagine the 73 types and plus. The less sinful of those types of riba is equivalent in sin like a person making fornication with his own mother. Fornication with your mother is unbelievable and unimaginable. Yet this is, you could say in sin-wise, equivalent to the least of those branches of riba. Prophet of Allah, he said, a person consumes 1 dirham, a small dirham of money, of riba, consumes it, and he knows it's riba, it is severe and more painful and more sinful in the sight of Allah than fornicating 36 times. Imagine, fornicate 36 times, still less sinful than taking and consuming 1 dirham of riba. If any person increases in taking riba, his fate, the Prophet said, it will be into feeling little. Always feeling in poverty. Subhanallah. Look at these people who take riba, mortgages and all of that. Subhanallah. They're always, there's another person, which I know, he had owned a number of houses, 2 houses, big ones, from riba. Alhamdulillah, he repented to Allah Azza wa Jal. But he's always been in war with his family, with himself, with everything. War. There's no relaxation. Never relaxed, never been happy. Riba makes it war into your, as I said, the barakah, the family, the happiness, everything will be stripped away from you. Riba has 2 types. Riba al-nasi'ah وَرِبَا الْفَضْلِ. Riba al-nasi'a is the one which is clear. Give me 1,000 and give it to you 1,500 in 2 months. That's clear riba. But riba al-fadl is the hidden one, which will lead to the riba al-nasi'a, which will lead to the clear one. Riba al-fadl is to sell gold with gold, silver with silver, wheat with wheat, barley with barley, dates with dates. We're going to see that inshallah. Now, the items that the riba goes into it. The items, according to the scholar here of this author of this book, he says that the riba is only in 6 items. Our Shaykh Al-Albani says no. In any item which has got the same basis, it will go the same thing. What are the 6 items? Mentioned in the hadith. الذهب بالذهب, gold with gold. والفضة بالفضة, silver with silver. البر بالبر, wheat by wheat. شعير بالشعير, barley for barley. تمر بالتمر, dates for dates. الملح بالملح, salt for salt. مثلا أو مثلا بمثل, so should say. That is tit for tat, exactly the same quality for the same quality. سواء بسواء, exactly the same weight. يدا بيد, hand take, hand will give. If the item is to differ, then sell the way that you like, as long as it is hand with hand. This is the first hadith. Let's just make sure that you understand this hadith properly. So we've got 6 items here. We mentioned gold, silver, wheat, barley, dates, and the salt. طيب. If I'm going to sell gold for gold, let's say we have gold, 24 carats, pure gold. And there is gold which is 18 carats. Of course, the 24 carats is much more expensive than the one which is 18 carats. Do you understand that or not? Gold, let's say class A, gold class B. If I have got, let's say, 5 grams of 24 carats gold, and I know it's worth about 20 grams of 18 carats of gold. If I go with my 5 grams of 24 carats of gold and said to the person who owns the 20 grams of the 18 carats gold, take the 5 and give me the 18, because it's in the market, that's how it is worth. That's riba. Riba al-fadl. To make it halal, there is 2 ways. Either 5 grams, and I take how much? 5 grams of 18 carats. You're not going to accept that because it's going to be much more. Second way is to sell your 5 grams, take money, and then purchase whatever you want from the 18 carats. Do you understand me? There's only 2 ways. Halal. Either 5 grams for 5 grams, whatever the weight, exactly the same. It has to be. Okay? Or to sell it also. Let's say that I'm going to purchase 5 grams of 24 carats, and I'm going to take 5 grams of 18 carats. It has to be on the same transactions. Meaning, I can't just say to him, give me the 18 carats, tomorrow or in half an hour, I'll bring you the 5 grams. It has to be what? On the spot. Hand for hand. Now, when you buy gold as well, same thing. There's no such thing, gold with debts. So I go to the goldsmith, gold shop, give me 1 kilo of gold, give me 500 grams of gold, give me 1 gram of gold, give me that ring of gold. I will pay you later on. Not allowed. It has to be what? Straight away, on the spot, because the money is gold. The currency is gold. It's based upon gold, your money. So I cannot do that except for tit for tat. Prophet of Allah said, if they differ, then the differ here can allow you to buy the way that you want, as long as it is on the same price. So gold and silver, I could purchase 5 grams of 24 carats of gold with, let's say, 1 kilo of silver. No problem. The weight can differ because it's different now. It's not gold. It became silver. But as long as it is what? hand for hand. Same thing, let's go to the other items. Dates. I have dates quality A, very expensive. And I have dates quality B, it's not that good. My 5 kilos of quality A dates in the market is equivalent to 20 kilos of that quality B. I cannot go and say to him, give me 20 kilos of dates and I'll give you 5 kilos of class A dates. That's haram again. Some people, they don't know that. To make it halal, there's 2 ways. Exactly the same. Either 5 kilos by 5 kilos, or I'll sell my 5 kilos class A, get the money and I purchase what? Whatever I want, 20 kilos, 25, whatever I can from the other item. Is that you following me or not? Alhamdulillah. But if the items differ, I'm going to purchase with my, let's say, dates, and I want to purchase wheat. So no problem, 5 kilos of class A dates to purchase 20 kilos of wheat. No problem, because they're different now, the item. But it has to be as well what? On the spot. There's no loans. But now if I take from the gold and silver from one side to the food side, there's no problem to differ in the weight and to differ in what? In the time. You understand me? So if I've got 5 grams of 24 carats of gold, I could purchase, let's say, 100 kilos of class A dates, and I don't have to pay at the same time. Huh? These ones, gold and silver, they runs into them different riba than the food. So if they are different, no problem. It's like using your money to go and buy, for example, a laptop, or to go and buy wheat. Is it halal? Or, for example, I'm gonna give me 5 kilos of wheat, and I'll pay you in about a month. Is it halal or haram? Halal. You can't make it haram. You can make it haram. Nobody's gonna buy. Nobody can sell. Do you understand that? Because the money is like gold. So once they differ, the gold and the silver, from the item which is the food, no problem to be different in the weight and the counting, and also in deferring the payment for later on. Okay? How can you increase it? I don't understand you. I'm buying for 5 grams of gold, 100 kilos of dates, or 200 kilos, whatever I want. I don't understand you. So the increase is something else.
So the payment, it could be like, I need to give you £5,000 for a ton of dates.
Yeah.
But you just say, pay me in 2 weeks, I can pay in 2 weeks. Is that like this example?
You're confusing yourself. I am just saying that if I've got 5 grams of gold, let's say this is not 5 grams, I've got 50 pounds, because it's not gold, 50 pounds. I want to purchase dates. I could purchase whatever I want to purchase from the dates, and I could just say to him, I'm going to pay you later on, in 2 weeks' time, in 3 weeks' time, 4 weeks' time. There's no installment, say, a payment. Oh, if you buy it in 3 weeks' time, I'm going to add. We dealt with this.
That's a delayed payment.
A delayed payment is like a loan, you know, a loan. Lots of people buy something. Maybe you don't even go to your country, for example. Where's your country? Yeah, Bangladesh. You go to Bangladesh, he will tell you the shop. He's got a big, massive book there. Such and such family, they bought 5 kilos of rice. Okay, at the end of the month they'll pay it for me. There's no increase. They will tell you, they'll teach you that. Bangladesh, Pakistan, everybody got this. Has to have this book. No such thing. They don't have that, for example. No, can you go to Asda? I'll pay you later. No, you can't do that. But normal, personal shops, they do that because the people, they don't have money. Okay, yes, inshallah. Some of them, they don't really get their money. Wallahi, some of them, they close the shops. They've got lots of loans hanging about. Nobody's paying them. Allah musta'an. But it's all the books is about £1, £1.50, £2. It's not really big money. You add them up, maybe it's £200 altogether. Small shop. Fine. Do you understand what I just said now? So it's a gold and silver, buying something from the food, you could defer the payment, and also you could be as well different in terms of quantity-wise. As for it is gold and silver, buying gold to silver, you could defer, you could be different in the quantity, but it has to be on the same time. If it is the food, you're purchasing food, let's say dates with barley, dates with the With the wheat, you could defer. There could be different number for 5 kilos, for 10 kilos, no problem. But it has to be the same time. If it is gold to gold, silver to silver, dates to dates, salt to salt, barley to barley, wheat to wheat, it has to be the same number, and it has to be on the same time. No deferring of the payment. 5 kilos for 5 kilos. 5 grams of 24 carats of gold for 5 grams of 18 carats of gold. It has to be halal like this. By this, we'll finish, inshallah. We'll give you the time for the questions and answers. And we'll start. The last session is going to be next week. And I know the transaction is the most difficult one. Fadal.
For people that are like selling gold, like they need money for, I don't know, they have like calamity that falls upon them, so they have gold. So I decide to sell this gold back to the jewelers. Do the jewelers have to pay them? Because they always pay a reduced amount.
It doesn't matter if a person who had got gold and want to sell it, no problem to sell his gold, and he would look for the best of prices. Whatever the best bidder, he will give it to him. Doesn't matter. And I know that once you buy the gold, you're not gonna sell it the same price, because you go look at that asking and bidding. You see it, selling and bidding. There's always different prices to make money. They will not. And also, you know that the gold, once they give it to you, they manufacture it. So they put money into making the shape of that ring, the shape of that. That shape, you're going to lose it. They're going to buy only from you the what? The gold itself. They're not caring about what the shape, because maybe they want to melt it down and reshape it something else. Okay? So they weigh you the gold. But the manufacturing of that shape and the pattern, you're going to lose that. Now. And by the way, when you sell gold, and it's got a ring and it's got the middle sapphire, whatever, ruby, whatever, something fake, you cannot weigh it with that. It has to be what? Dismantled. You cannot buy them. Even if you know the price of it, the weight of it, no, it has to be taken off and each one weighed by itself. If you want to buy this or that, it has to be taken off. Now,
can we deal with the customer who has come to us with a quote and asking us for
asking if you what?
Asking us for a cheaper price. So this person can sell me a car for £1,000. Can you do me the same car, which I know you've got, for less than that?
So you're haggling the price for somebody? Yes. No problem. Haggle the price as much as you want.
Well, we don't want to interrupt another brother's transaction.
How? I can't understand that.
Because he's probably gone to another brother, got a price for this item, say £1,000, and now he's shopping around to see if somebody.
No problem. So you sold something there and you go to this person, can you match the price? Is that what you're saying?
Match it or beat it.
Match it or beat it, doesn't matter. No problem. Match it or beat it, as long. Because each person is up to him to sell and buy. But the person who is selling the item, he needs to know, and I am selling here not to harm that person who is selling a brother of mine, Muslim. I cannot harm him. I cannot harm his. I'm trying. My target is to make his shop closed, for example. It's not allowed. The seller is trying to. I'm making inshallah profit, but I'm making it maybe it's not as much as the other guy. Alhamdulillah, I could match it. And here they do matching prices, even big companies. They don't match it with online. They don't match it, for example, you go to which shop, yeah, such and such, yeah. If it's shop, not online, they will match you for the price. Not a problem. So if you had bought an item, and this item is in installment, but you're going to sign on something that if you have deferred one of the payments, you did not pay it on time, you're going to be penalized by such and such APR percentage, whatever it is. It's not allowed. Transaction, something like that, because you have signed on something which is haram. So you have to buy it now cash, straight away, one go. Even though that you know you're going to pay it on time, you're going to be incurring any sort of penalizing thing, but you're not allowed to buy it in that way.
The 6 items you mentioned, gold to gold, silver to silver, barley, wheat, salt, dates. Is there any wisdom behind these 6? Why these particular 6 and say not
Well, that is the difference among the scholars. Is there any wisdom in just only these items? Or the Prophet ﷺ, it is the item that is being used at that time, hasn't been widened up. Or Sheikh Al-Albani, he says he looks at the reason behind them. One of it is for the illah. Sheikh Al-Albani, he says that these asnaf items, there have been 6 items, they are to be as well running for other items as long as the illah, means the reason which goes into these 6 items, can run into them. Only Ibn Hazm rahimahullah and others who had said it's only the 6 items. So the Shaykh Al-Albani's proof is the Prophet ﷺ saying وَكَذَلِكَ الْكَيْلُ وَالْوَزْنُ, anything to do with weighing or volume wise. As for Shaykh Al-Uthaymeen, he says only the 6 items. Wallahu a'lam. Fadal.
Is there a problem in buying an item which is very big item that you maybe don't have the room for it, it's now paying cash for it, make a payment, like you leave it in the shop or whatever until when you're ready to take it?
No problem. So you bought a. I don't think they will find a lot of shops would do such a thing for you as a favor. You're buying a big item and they say to them, "Well, keep it for me until I get some space for it." Jazakumullah khair for doing that, as long as you bought it, no problem. And you could sell it in that. You could sell it because you have purchased it, and in such a way that you have no way to transfer it because it's big. You could sell it. You remember we said we can't sell it in the same place because the manufacturer, the person who sold it to you, you might see the transaction, got it off because he made a big profit on it. But in this scenario, because it's a big item and he's helping you, no problem. Fadal. Fadal.
Sheikh, you know you mentioned the khamr.
You haven't answered the question. The khamr. No.
The khamr is the wine. Does that also go for intoxicants such as drugs, like selling drugs and buying drugs?
Khamr, ikhwani, is in itself is haram, regardless the quantity. As for anything harmful, is not to be sold for harmful. When you say it's drugs, the drugs it could be beneficial. Don't they use it for morphine in the hospital? Well, they are drugs anyway. But so there's drugs to be sold for hospitals, halal. But the drugs is not haram in itself. Poison. There's poison as well, which is, for example, I wouldn't say poison because haram in itself. But the drugs as itself, they are coming from a tree. If that tree is beneficial for, let's say, numbing a place, not you sold it for the purpose of getting intoxicated, that becomes haram. No. The most important, the worst thing about this is that they are very expensive. They're sold by grams, even more than gold. Allah musta'an. Just hang a second. Yalla. Fadal. Yeah, you and then him. Giving you because you're the chicken man.
The part where selling installments and extra price. These are with the cars. A lot of people buy cars.
Same thing with a lease of the car. If you bought it and you know that it's got 2 prices, one which is cash and one which is installment, you pay more, it's still haram. Same thing. Car is the same thing.
Because a lot of the brothers, or the people, they say that if you buy directly from the dealer and they are offering you the finance and increase from price because they're giving you the finance directly.
So you're saying that there is a shop who has the price of the installment actually. The big at the higher price. Because they're selling it all the time is what? Finance, like you said, in months. So what are you saying? So this is the manufacturer or the dealer or the exhibition or whatever they call. So you are going to the dealer of Toyota, for example, and selling you this car, whether it's cash, 5,000, or whether it is in finance, it's 5,000. It's, for example, in 2-3 years. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so imagine I went to get 5 Toyota.
Is my example okay for you? Why don't you take an example to
The finance I charge more.
the finance charge is not allowed. Once it's more, it's not allowed. But let's say it's the same. If it is the same, then if you are signing, again, like the question there, signing on something that if the payment is not being paid on time, you're going to be incurring sort of riba, you're not allowed to sign that contract. Okay? Now,
It's a
first, before you sign the contract, if I miss a payment accidentally or if I didn't have the funds.
You don't have to ask them. Everything has been lined up in your contract. He will say to you. You don't have to ask them. Okay, everything to the night. Just go to the small print. It's called small print. Why is it being small print? They don't want you to read them. Small print, they don't want you to read it. تفضل يا دكتور راسل. تفضل. Online questions. That's what I asked you. Do you want online questions? No. There's online questions and there's on-chair questions. تفضل.
Just following up signing of contracts. For instance, when you're renting a premises and you decide
You're renting a premises. Ikhwani, in all contracts they say when you rent a place from an agency, they will say to you if you defer the payment of the rent of the month, you're going to pay extra. It's exactly when you purchase the car. You can't get the car except with insurance. So otherwise we're not going to buy cars, are we? Insurance is haram. But this is a necessity. We can't buy the car and drive the car except with what? Insurance. Do you understand that you can't even have an Islamic center, ask Dr. Farasat, he knows, except that it's been insured? Don't you know that? Islamic centers or a masjid, they have to be insured, haram. Haram way. They have to be insured. We know the insurance is gambling. We pay the insurance. The whole years, for 12 years, we don't pay nothing. We don't use nothing. They are taking money, 1,000, 2,000. How much is insurance? 4,000 a year. For what? For air. For air. Do they do anything? Nothing. But if another masjid or any Islamic center or any house or anything, even a bar is being put to fire, then they use the money that they have got from you to go on maintain that building. True or not? Or if anything your building happens to it, you pay maybe 10,000, but your building had been collapsed and you charge the company £100,000. Where's the £100,000 coming? From other people who've been paying 4,000 a year and 5,000 a year. That's called gambling, Ikhwani. This is called insurance. This is the system of insurance. Allah understand. But you can't have a building which is a public building without what? Insurance. You can't. Same thing with renting. Some people ask, I'm renting, I'm paying, I'm signing a contract. If I don't really pay on time, they're going to ask me. But usually they're not going to ask you riba if you don't pay exactly on the day. They'll give you 2, 3, 4 days, 5 days, 1 week, 2 weeks. But when you start delaying 1 month and 2 months, you're being penalized. Why did you do that? Why did you put yourself into this? It's not halal for having this contract. But I'm saying there's no way to rent now these days except with this. Otherwise, everybody will be on the street. For the doctor?
Sheikh, some companies offer shares as part of
Offer what?
shares, stock.
Stock. It's called shafts?
Shares.
Shares. Oh, shares. Oh, shares.
Shares.
Yeah, shares. What is it? Shares. Shares. Okay. So shares, yes.
They offer shares as part of the pay package.
Yeah.
As part of your salary. Now, this company uses a little bit of interest, and most of your business is halal except for a small profit. Now, is it?
Can you invest in a company share-wise if it's got most of it halal? Yes. And some elements haram there. There's no such company pure halal. No way. You have to have elements of halal. If the halal is more, no problem to invest in. Like for example, telecommunication. You think telecommunication is halal? No. Medicine. Halal, all of it. Okay? So most of it is halal. No problem, inshallah. The more halal more is no problem to invest in shares. Fadal.
If your company, they give you free private medical
If you have the what?
If your company that you work for, they give you free private medical insurance, are you allowed to use it?
If your company who you work with giving you private medical insurance for free, you're not paying anything. Well, this is part of your company. It's like a company giving you a car which is being leased by them haram way, but they're giving it to you. It's yours. You understand? It's part of the deal. No problem. It's haram on them, but not haram for you. They made the transactions. They made everything. You are working in a company. They give you the privilege, mashallah, to have a nice car. They've leased it. You know, most of the company, they lease the cars. They know that. Brand new cars. And you just jump into a Porsche and you can't even afford it. No problem, inshallah. Fadlan. Bananas?
Sometimes bananas come very green.
Yeah.
We buy green bananas.
What's wrong in buying green bananas?
From the benefit you said earlier, that you can't buy.
No, okay, bananas and green still consumable, okay. And they are really very good if you've got constipation. If you don't know that, I'll tell you. Yeah, they're very good for constipation. Not sorry for constipation. For that means you've got diarrhea. You eat banana. Yeah, you eat the green bananas. It will make your food to become solid, not diarrhea. I know this, so they are consumable. طيب, one of the part.
Is it permissible to take deposit for the business? For example, you have a small business and sometimes you get order, so you take like £10 deposit.
No problem to take a deposit from any person that he had ordered you to do something, as long as that deposit is not going to be taken away from him if he did not go ahead with the transaction.
So let's say they cancel the order.
The cancel the order, you can't take that. That's unless you've been harmed. So let's say I want this mobile. This mobile is in your shop. This particular mobile, I like it. Okay. How much is it? I say to you. You say to me £100. Okay. I want it, but I don't have the money. Okay, you give me deposit, brother. I gave you deposit £10. After 5 days, I came to you. I said to you, I don't want this mobile. Okay, you're not allowed to take the £5 unless somebody else came and you wanted the mobile. You said to me, it's been sold, brother. Then you have been harmed. You're allowed to take whatever for the deposit to cover up your loss. Okay? Now, you're consuming interest now. You're being given interest on your current account or your deposit account. You're not allowed to use the riba that's being given to you. They're giving you extra money. You're not allowed to have even bank accounts, Ikhwani. You have to make it in such a way they don't really gain money. That's number one. Number two, minimize as much as you can the amount of money in the bank, as much as you can. Okay? Because you have to have a bank account. No way you can live without a bank account. It's impossible. These days, it's impossible. You don't have a name, you don't have a bank account. You don't exist, basically. Well,
You can tell them to not give you interest.
it's not the problem that you're using the money for your interest. So if you tell him some of the companies, some of the banks, they don't accept, they have to give you interest. You could ask them, he said, to give the interest. Somebody who was clever enough to say to me, well, they take an interest in it. I want him to give me the interest so I could spend it somewhere else. Do you understand me? It's another issue. So when you say to them, I don't want the interest, they take in the interest themselves. So he's saying, why should I make them to use your interest? I could just use it for something which is beneficial for example, starvation, for building roads, for building toilets for the masajid, no problem. But once you ask for the interest to be paid, how can I guarantee that your saliva is going to down ground? It's too much interest now. Let me just have it myself. That's a problem. Yes, you might be shaitan going to telling you that it's too much. Come on, yeah. Giving you fatwa now, the shaitan, halal for you to take it. وسبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Yeah, transactions got lots of questions, always normal.